Most people think they're bad. Most people think they're bad at learning new things, and honestly, they might be right, but not for the reason they think. It's not because they're not smart enough, or not disciplined enough, or because they didn't take enough notes in school. It's because the way that almost everyone learns a new skill is genuinely, objectively, measurably terrible. And the worst part is that it feels productive while you're doing it. But we'll get to that. First, I want to talk about the learning curve. Everyone's heard of it. Most people picture it like this: a smooth upward slope where effort in equals progress out. You put in a little work, you get a little better. You put in more work, you get more better. Linear, predictable, satisfying. But that's not what it actually looks like. The real learning curve looks more like this. You start, nothing happens, you keep going. Still nothing. Then somewhere around week 3 or week 6 or month 2, something clicks and you shoot up fast. The problem is that most people quit somewhere in this flat zone right here before the click ever happens. And they quit not because they're lazy, but because the flat zone feels exactly like not making progress. Because you're not. Yet. There's actually a name for this. Researchers call it the Plateau of Latent Potential. The idea being that skills don't develop visibly in real time. They develop invisibly underneath the surface and then they emerge all at once. Kind of like how you can heat ice from -20 degrees to -1 degree and nothing happens. It's still ice. It looks exactly the same. But then you go from -1 to 0 and suddenly the whole thing melts. All that heating wasn't wasted. It was just invisible. That is your first 3 months of learning anything. Now here's where most people make the mistake that actually kills them. They try to shortcut the flat zone. And the most popular way to do that is to consume as much information about the skill as possible before actually doing the skill. Watch every tutorial, read every guide, buy the course, take the notes, highlight the book. Make the Notion page. Build the entire color-coded system for tracking your progress at a skill you have not yet started. I once spent 2 weeks researching the best way to learn Spanish before spending exactly 4 days actually learning Spanish before quitting. I had a Notion page. It was beautiful. My Spanish was not. This method of learning has a name too. It's called passive consumption. And it feels like learning because your brain is absorbing information, but it's not the same as skill. Information and skill are not the same thing. You could read every book ever written about riding a bike and still fall off the first time you try. Probably also the second and third time. Information is the map. Skill is actually walking the terrain, and you cannot learn the terrain from a map alone. Now, before I give you the methods that actually work, I do want to address the most famous piece of advice on this topic, which is the 10,000 hours rule. As in, to become world class at anything, you need 10,000 hours of practice. And while Malcolm Gladwell made this extremely popular, he also kind of got it wrong, or at least the version most people heard is wrong. The original researcher, Anders Ericsson, spent his whole career correcting this, because the 10,000 hours figure was never about just any practice. It was specifically about deliberate practice, which is a very different thing. Most people who practice something for 10,000 hours are just repeating what they already know how to do. Deliberate practice means specifically targeting the things you can't do yet. It's uncomfortable on purpose. It should feel harder than whatever you did yesterday. And if it doesn't, you're not doing deliberate practice. You're just putting in hours and wondering why you're not improving, which coincidentally is also my entire gym career from 2019 to 2021. So here are the actual methods that work. Method 1 is to compress the flat zone using a technique called chunking. The brain doesn't actually learn skills as one big thing. It learns them as a collection of small connected pieces that eventually link together into one automatic behavior. For example, when you first learn to drive, every individual action takes conscious thought. Check mirror, signal, turn wheel, brake. But eventually, all of those individual chunks get compressed into one automatic chunk called driving. And you can do it while thinking about something completely unrelated, like what you're going to eat when you get home. The way to use this deliberately is to break any skill you want to learn into the smallest possible pieces and practice each piece individually until it becomes automatic. Then connect them. Don't try to learn the whole thing at once. That's like trying to swallow a sandwich in one bite. Technically possible, not recommended. Method 2 is using spaced repetition to fight the forgetting curve. In 1885, a German psychologist named Hermann Ebbinghaus did a series of experiments on himself where he memorized lists of nonsense syllables and then tested how quickly he forgot them. What he found was that memory doesn't decay gradually, it drops off a cliff. Within 24 hours of learning something new, most people forget about 50% of it. Within a week, they've forgotten about 90%. This is the forgetting curve. And almost every traditional learning system ignores it completely. You learn something on Monday, don't see it again until the exam, blank on the exam, pass anyway by some miracle, and then forget everything by the following Tuesday. The solution is spaced repetition, which just means reviewing information at increasing intervals before you forget it. Review it after 1 day, then 3 days, then a week, then 2 weeks. Each time you successfully remember something, your brain treats it as more important and stores it more permanently. Apps like Anki are built entirely around this and are genuinely one of the most effective learning tools ever made. Medical students use it to memorize thousands of drug names and dosages. You can use it to learn a language or remember literally anything else you keep forgetting. Method 3 is output-based learning, which is probably the most uncomfortable method and also the most effective. The idea is simple. Instead of consuming information and then maybe 1 day applying it, you flip the order. You apply it first and then look up what you need as you go. Want to learn to code? Don't finish the entire beginner course first. Start building something broken on day 1 and fix it as you go. Want to learn to cook? Don't watch 50 cooking videos. Make the dish badly today and figure out why it was bad afterward. The reason this works is because your brain only stores information it believes is relevant, and nothing signals relevance to your brain like actually needing the information right now to solve a real problem in front of you. Passive consumption says, here is information you might need 1 day. Output-based learning says, here is information you need right now, or this thing you are building will not work. Your brain treats those two situations very differently. Method 4 is environment design, and this one most people skip because it sounds like lifestyle advice and not real learning advice, but it might actually be the most important one. The environment you're in decides how much friction there is between you and the skill. High friction means you'll practice less without even noticing. Low friction means you'll practice more without even trying. If you want to learn guitar, having the guitar in a case under your bed adds enough friction that you will pick it up maybe twice a week. Having it on a stand in the middle of your room means you'll pick it up every time you walk past it. Same skill, same motivation level, completely different results just from where the object is located in your apartment. Design your environment so that the skill is the easiest available thing to do, and design it so that distractions are the hardest available thing to do. Move the skill into your path. Move everything else out of it. Now, here's the thing that nobody tells you about learning a new skill. The goal at the beginning is not to be good. The goal is to survive the embarrassing phase. Every single skill has one. It's the phase where you sound terrible, look ridiculous, produce genuinely bad work, and every part of your brain is telling you to stop because this is not worth the humiliation. Most people stop here because they think being bad means they have no potential. But being bad at something new is not evidence that you can't do it. It's evidence that you just started. Every person who is currently good at anything you want to learn was once exactly as bad as you are right now, possibly worse. The only difference is they stayed past the embarrassing phase long enough for the click to happen. And once it happens, it compounds. Getting slightly better makes you slightly more confident, which makes you practice slightly more, which makes you get slightly better again. Exponential, just in the right direction this time. And so to summarize, stop consuming information and start producing output. Break the skill into chunks and practice the hard parts deliberately. Review what you learn using spaced repetition before you forget it. Design your environment so that practicing is the path of least resistance. And most importantly, stay in the flat zone long enough for it not to be flat anymore. That's it. That's the whole thing. It was easy, simply. Every subscribe increases my chances of making another unnecessarily over-explained video.